Hello everyone and welcome to match 1 in our third Offworld tournament between Blues and RadRoofer. This is going to be round of 16 to see who goes on to face. I don't even remember, guys. I was going to have it ready to go and then I've forgotten. Fair warning to the VOD watchers, this is happening a little bit late at night for me. I'm not doing so hot, but we're going to try and power through the best that we can for these two players to make sure they can get their match in before we need to move on to the next round and get it broadcast for everybody. So that's what we're doing tonight. Now, to get into the actual game itself, we've got a nice scavenger spot here, in my opinion. I mean, look at that. It's so beautiful. But then we've got, like, many kind of acceptable spots around this map, honestly. I mean, I guess it's just the primary two. But these two spots are beautiful. We are going to have RadRoofer founding Scientific in the water, iron, and aluminum area. And then Blues is going to be founding Scavenger, wanting to take advantage of that high carbon, medium carbon, and I believe that is a high aluminum. Yes, under that mine. Man, I wonder if... Look, I'm pretty sure there is a special mine construction in there somewhere. And like pretty late in it, it is when the three little sections appear, so you can see what's underneath the tile. I've seen the animation before, guys. Okay, we're getting off track here. Look, RadRoofer has gone for steel mills. No big surprise there. He was unable to secure a high aluminum that Blues took. He could have gone after this high aluminum, chose not to. Just wants the steel for the time being. He already has his 80 aluminum secured to expand. That should not be a problem for him long into the game. Getting a hold of that high aluminum, making sure Blues doesn't have full control of that market. Blues was first HQ level 2. Not really a surprise. Scavengers are usually very fast to that HQ level, having a very, very cheap upgrade resource available to them in that carbon, and also an easy to acquire resource. Blues has taken a high silicon. It looks like he took a high water, may have been headed for the medium water as well, trying to block some of that off. Did not get it if that was the case, but did manage to steal the high water away from his opponent before he could secure it. Now RadRoofer, possibly a bit of a misstep here. He chose to take these two water tiles, the medium and then a low kind of out to the northwest of it. If he had taken the tile directly to the east, he would have blocked off any potential adjacency bonuses to Blues without slant drilling. Definitely something to keep in mind. Thinking machines being driven quite high as our first auction. 24,000 on over to Blues is what that's going to be. Not really surprised. Thinking Machines actually potentially going to play a crucial role in this game. We can see that Offworlds are not looking particularly strong. Looks like Chems is actually possibly our biggest seller here. Iron's not bad at 296. People will have to be paying attention to that as the rest of the prices are so low. But Thinking Machines with a Scavenger and a Scientist in the game, very awkward. The Scavenger wants to be able to attack the Scientist, so he wants to take that Thinking Machines auction away. Whereas the Scientist, if he gets Thinking Machines, anything right next to his base is virtually unassailable, and that would be fantastic. But it did end up going over to Blues. Now, speaking of attacking our opponents, man, RadRoofer really wants to buy something over there. Not a problem. We have holograms, spies, pirates, EMPs, power surges, underground nukes, mutinies, and goon squads available. That's pretty interesting. That is a high-powered set of tools. No dynamite, basically. No new claims. Maybe possibly unfortunate for these two players, considering they're both playing lighter claims factions. No expansive players here. But spies in particular, along with this set of black market actions, could allow Blues to get aggressive on RadRoofer. However, it is still a scientific player. Could be a little bit hard to find a really good spot to attack. Looks like RadRoofer does have our first black market pickup with pirates. Not really a surprise, although possibly not the best pirates ever. They're mostly getting a hold of carbon and silicon. Not great resources. However, purchasing those pirates does kind of drive the price up for the opponent. Not necessarily a bad idea to be doing that quickly. Kind of discourage them from having pirates available to use against you, just in case you want to set anything a significant distance away from your base. Both players have hit HQ level 3 by now. Blues was definitely the first there. He got into electrolysis reactors very quickly afterward. His opponent, RadRoofer, instead moving on into farms. I'm not really surprised by any of that. There is an electronic shortage on the way. It'll be interesting to see if Blues wants to hop out of this glass and into Electronics if he spotted that shortage coming in or not. Blues also has a geotherm building. I don't believe RadRoofer has done anything to secure power just yet. However, he does have two claims still available. Solar Flare is ongoing, but nothing that would be affected by that on the field at this point. RadRoofer has chosen, it should be noted, to place glass furnaces, a glass furnace at least, away from his base and vulnerable, potentially, to pirates from Blues. That could be a big deal later in this game. If Blues spots it, if he finds a way to take advantage of it, that could make a pretty significant difference this game. Now, Blues has defended his geotherm with a goon squad and picked up a mutiny in addition to that, likely planning to attack RadRoofer's geotherm unless RadRoofer purchases a goon squad, which Blues, of course, will be informed of by the price of the goon squad moving up for him in that event. We also see that Blues did manage to get some adjacency bonuses for his water coming in. Definitely a big deal in my opinion. Having access to at least that amount of water, that 4.5, lets him get it into at least one set of production, and possibly two, without too many water production issues this game. And I think that's definitely a big deal. Blue's actually going for a pretty big power play right now. The mutiny has disappeared. It actually went over and hit aluminum, which is up at $44. Definitely an understandable play from Blues. Not really surprised by that whatsoever. RadRoofer is going to take it back after just about 20 seconds, I believe, of that mutiny being in place. So not a huge deal, just a little money taken away from RadRoofer with that exchange. And then, of course, the black market cooldown. Blues has purchased up pirates and has the black market available again. I wouldn't be surprised. Yep, there they are. Pirates are going to land in the way of that glass furnace eventually. It will likely ship something through there, and 60 glass in Blue's pocket would not be bad. Obviously, it's just going to be a coin flip to see what actually happens with that first shipment of glass as it comes on out. Aluminum's still very expensive. Neither player securing a huge amount of it, and both of them really trying to rush through upgrades, so I'm not too surprised to see that resource go to be that pricey at this stage of the game. Really kind of what you would expect, honestly. Blues is in that double glass furnace with these solar panels available, managing to pay down some amount of his debt. RadRoofer, slightly less debt is what he has managed, I suppose, by staying out of auctions. And whoa, actually, we've got an underground nuke going off, knocking this aluminum down to low. That is going to have the amount of aluminum that RadRoofer is pulling in this game. And Blues, at the same time, has managed to push to HQ level 5 already. It'll be interesting to see what he wants to do with that. Given that Offworlds are a bit weak this game, see if he will try and use an alternate advanced building to kind of try and push to having a real serious lead this game. Alright, Perpetual Motion coming out. These players kind of dancing around it. Not really super aggressive bids here. It feels like both of them are kind of wondering maybe how high they can push this and have their opponent take it. Maybe they do want it, and they are willing to pay quite a bit for it. RadRoofer is going to end up taking that one for 20,000. Blues deciding 24 would just be a bit too rich for him for Perpetual Motion, and that's definitely something I can understand. Power prices were already down to about $100. They were falling during the daytime fairly rapidly, and so with RadRoofer having his power costs, especially on things like these steel mills, it's no big surprise that power's going to even keep falling just a little bit through the night until the rest of these buildings come online. So, not really surprised to see that one just go ahead and get given away for 20. Don't want to push it too high. Alright, looks like some farms are coming out for Blues. He wants to go ahead and get into that food market. Electronics might be available for some potential profit, but once again, you kind of got to be careful with that as a scavenger. That's really delaying a serious source of money until later in the game. And Blues, it looks like he is trying to go ahead and sell down some aluminum in the moment. He's only got about 60 sitting around. He does have quite a bit of aluminum production available to him at this point, 4.5 per second, and that price has fallen fast. RadRoofer actually sold quite a lot of it off as well, and then bought it back up to that 320 that he is going to need in order to expand it. He's actually just scrapped that aluminum tile and has moved it into power. I don't know if I like that play at all. Aluminum, once he's done with it, is still going to have quite a bit of value. I mean, and Blues is going to be raking all that money in the meantime. RadRoofer kind of just guaranteeing that he's not going to get any of that by moving into power. which is a resource that's becoming less and less valuable by the second. And it's not even like RadRoofer can really transition his power buildings that he already has up into something else. I mean, he's overproducing 2.9 power a second before this solar panel comes online, 4 power a second now. And none of that is money in his pocket. I don't know if I like that play at all. Blues does have a Goon Squatted tile here. And he is, oh, he's just going straight into the Offworld. That's what he's decided he wants to do. He's got his triangles set up for his alternate production. He has a Geo, like 2 waters, and a Silicon separate from his base. But mostly it's just hard production. And he's decided, well, I'm just going to move right into that Offworld. And you can see what you can do about it. RadRoofer can see this constructing right now. The hologram was never placed by Blues. Don't know if that was intentional or not, if he's saving that for something later or what's going on there. But RadRoofer should be well aware of the fact that he is running a bit far behind and the off-world market is being constructed right here, right now. Blues transitioning out of food and into chems does not really surprise me. Chems are a little expensive right now with carbon up at that $60 price, but he should have more than enough to be knocking that carbon price down even once these chem labs are online. So they should be becoming, they should stay a little profitable. And they're certainly going to be better than the food that he had online. Obviously, the problem with having both reactors and food online when you're only on 2 water tiles is you're going to be driving that water price up and up and up and up and up. At that point, consuming 6 a second, well, almost 7 a second once the headquarters are counted in. And of course, only providing 3 food, 3 fuel, 1.5 oxygen, maybe not worth it. You can see these reactors are in fact losing money at this point as well. So even with the mediocre chem labs, to sum it all up, they're still better than food. Same thing with the electronics factories, glass falling off quickly. This has been a game where it's actually just kind of hard to find a place to make money. And so I really understand going into that off-world market. And of course, as we discussed much earlier this game, chems are actually the best launch available. So even tanking that chem price just a little bit, not going to be too bad for Blues long term since he is the one with access to that off-world market. RadRoofer decided to hand a mutiny over to Blues on the geotherm tile, maybe not realizing it was defended, trying to find some avenue attack, but all in all, he is not coming through and attacking this off-world. He knows it's defended. He can see very much that it is goon squatted, but he kind of just chose... He had the option of doing something like just tossing a nuke at his opponent, and when it got thrown at him, it never was going to hit all that hard. He is a scientific player. That is what I would have loved to see, a nuke coming down right here to try and blast through this off-world shield and then, you know, hit it with an EMP, hit it with a mutiny, all that kind of stuff. But for now, none of that's happened. Blues pushed the off-world. RadRoofer didn't. He is 2 stock purchases away from cleaning up this game. Just 1 now. He's got the cash, and Blues just takes it very, very handily. It was pretty even for a while there, basically till HQ 4. But then, in the process of moving from 4 to 5, Blues kind of turned on the gas, and you could see that RadRoofer was just kind of falling out of it. He wasn't even getting attacked all that much. I think it was just, honestly, difficulty utilizing these claims that were separated from his base. I don't know if there needed to be an effort to do that, really. To take these claims, to make himself vulnerable to pirates. He had so much production right here in this area. Yeah, you can get hit by EMPs, but you are a scientist. It is possible to resist that. So I think that trying to utilize this territory and then dancing around these aluminum tiles instead of just kind of sitting on them were both moves that really held RadRoofer back and allowed Blues to just pump up to that off-world and instantly win the game by getting those 6 shares purchased for the majority buyout. Man, we even see that the reactors were actually set up over here. Once again, separate from the base. And, man, I don't think you can be that scared of EMPs as a scientist. Not when pirates are around. Especially because it still takes time. Like, even if pirates never hit this lane, it's still a whole bunch of time that resources are sitting out separated from your base. They aren't sitting in your headquarters. And that's definitely a big deal in the 1v1 scenario. We can hop on over to resources, see that Blues made a clean 120,000 on-world, 43,000 off-world. Definitely good work that game for him in finding avenues to make cash and jumping into them when they were available. RadRoofer, on the other hand, only made about 30,000 on-world, and you can see a lot of his issues did come from aluminum. I think he just hopped out of it when he definitely shouldn't have. Maybe could have even committed to 2 aluminum tiles. Maybe could have committed to the aluminum tiles right next to his base, committed quite heavily to them, and then been able to transition those into electronics later in the game if that had been necessary. Those kind of things were options to him, but none of the options that he chose to take. And let's see, we can take one last look at the black market. Not particularly active this game. Just 1 EMP, 1 pirate, 1 hologram, 1 nuke, 1 mutiny for blues, and then 3 goon squads to secure his lead effectively. Whereas for RadRoofer, we only had 1 spy, 1 set of pirates, and that was early in the game. Silicon and aluminum when they weren't too valuable. Gotta watch out for stuff like that. 2 mutinies. At least one of them bounced, and I believe one of them was defensive. So that wasn't any aggression whatsoever. So really one truly aggressive action from RadRoofer, and not particularly successful with it at that. Of course, 2 goon squads, which I do believe were both defending geotherms. Can't really check now, but I'm fairly certain those are both on geotherms. And well, you can see the price of power there. So that was potentially just too much money thrown away for RadRoofer. Blues being far more efficient with every last dollar he was using. And I think you could feel that with just the difference in how fast that game ended once Blues started to get a lead. Okay, we're going to hop on out of that one. Nothing too complicated about it. Fairly clean win. Let's go on over to game number 2.